Ladies and gentlemen, the voice for wrestling is back, and now we will be talking about. I wouldn't call it pay per view. It's not really a pay per view, but the W. How about that? The WWE Network's house show special, Roadblock. Now it's going to be taking place exclusively on the WWE Network, which I have. I didn't buy it. Uh, my friends came to my house and they logged in, and I just didn't sign out. So lucky me, right? But it's going to be a network special called Roadblock. The whole name, of course. They had the whole thing Road to WrestleMania, so this is kind of like a roadblock to try to prevent you from going. A little cheesy, the name, but there's a lot of cheesy names in pay per views, so I'm not going to really get into that whole discussion. So now, the reason it's not a pay per view and it's only a house show special is because the card is really thin. There's only 4 matches in the whole card, like compared to WrestleMania, which apparently, according to the rumored card, is probably going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 matches so far. This is pretty much half of a pay per view, so it's a house show special. It's going to be in the Ricoh Coliseum in Toronto. It's Canada, so I'm not going to get that there. But so here we go. Now there are 4 matches. One of the matches is actually not even going to be a match between WWE superstars. It's going to be with guys that are still down in NXT, and that is going to be Dash and Dawson or the Revival going up against Enzo and Cass. It's going to be for the NXT Tag Team Championships now. This is interesting because a lot of people expected for like 3 weeks Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, or Big Cass, to make their main roster debuts. They haven't yet, but it seems like they're going to probably make their debut the night after WrestleMania. So we'll see what happens there. The other match for the WWE Tag Team titles are going to be New Day against the League of Nations. This matchup is really interesting because it involves 2 teams that are complete polar opposites of each other. You have the New Day, who are energetic, exciting, fun. Their promos are always great. They're entertaining, And then you have the League of Nations, who are just flat out boring. First of all, none of these guys, all these 4 of these guys have accents, really heavy ones. Del Rio has a heavy accent. Sheamus, Rusev. When Rusev speaks, it almost sounds comical because his accent is so bad. And Wade Barrett. Now, Barrett probably has the best promo skills of the 4, but he's going to be out of the company in like June, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, they're gonna try to go for the tag team titles. Then you have the 2 really big matches, which are Triple H and Dean Ambrose for the WWE Championship, and Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt. Now, first I'm gonna talk about Lesnar Wyatt. Lesnar at any event, special, pay per view, whatever it is always a big draw. Always is. He's the prize fighter. That's his whole thing. That's his whole character. His gimmick, I guess you'd call it, is that he's the prize fighter. And so him being at, Roadblock is really going to get people wanting to watch, of course. And I feel like this match should have been the match that should take place at WrestleMania. Lesnar Wyatt. Considering the fact that at the Royal Rumble, Lesnar and Bray and the Wyatt family attacked Lesnar at Royal Rumble because Lesnar eliminated Eric Rowan, he eliminated Braun Strowman, and he eliminated Luke Harper. And so when Bray Wyatt came out, he wanted to avenge his family, I guess you'd call it. And all the members of the Wyatt family went after Lesnar, even after they eliminated. So that right there, that really should have been built up to have a WrestleMania match between Wyatt and Lesnar. But I guess they kind of dropped the ball and have Lesnar go with. I mean, Lesnar and Dean Ambrose is great too, especially in the street fight. But I feel like you could have had Triple H, Roman Reigns, and Dean Ambrose in a triple threat match. Because the thing about winning the Royal Rumble. Oh, no. This year's different, actually. I remember the Royal Rumble would determine who would be WWE champion, not who would be main eventing WrestleMania. And so because Triple H won a championship, the number 1 contendership is just wide open. And so, of course, Roman Reigns would get the shot. But I feel like Dean could have been involved in that match, too, really. I feel like that would have been a really... Yeah, I feel like that would have been... a really smart move, but Fastlane had Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar, so I'm not sure. I just feel like in general, whole Fastlane aside, Bray Wyatt and Brock Lesnar should have been at WrestleMania, and Dean Ambrose should have somehow, maybe in a triple threat match with Roman Reigns, whatever, should have had a WWE Championship match. Just those 3 for a triple threat, kind of like at WrestleMania 30. when Batista won the Royal Rumble, and he was gonna have a match with Randy Orton for the title, but then the fans wanted Daniel Bryan so much that Daniel Bryan got inserted into the match, and he won, which was the smart move instead of having Batista, who the fans hated because Daniel Bryan didn't win the Royal Rumble. Smart move. So I feel like, booking wise, the ball's kind of dropped here, but it's already set in stone now, so it's really too late to change it. So yeah, but it's still gonna be, it's gonna be what we wanted, just not at the time we wanted it to be. It's not gonna be at WrestleMania. It's gonna be a Roadblock, Lesnar and Wyatt. Then you have the WWE Championship match at Roadblock, which is Triple H and Dean Ambrose. There's been a lot of build up towards this, of course, with the attacks to Dean, with the promos between Dean and Triple H. One thing I like about this event is that they're kind of treating it like a pay-per-view. They're having promos based around it. They're building up towards it rather than just having it be a literal roadblock to WrestleMania. They're just having it be another event. Of course, it's not as big as a pay-per-view event, but, it's close enough. Okay. So, in terms of who should win these matches, I think New Day should continue their title reign. And they definitely cannot lose it to the League of Nations. That would be horrific. Toronto is another really wrestling-hungry, rowdy crowd. I shouldn't say rowdy because they don't like getting into fights or anything, but they're a very boisterous crowd as well. Along with like London, those are like international crowds that are really, big on wrestling. Aside from Chi-Town, Philly, and NY, so it's, that would be it'll be a nightmare for these fans to have the League of Nations beat one of the most entertaining, entities in professional wrestling in the New Day. So have the New Day continue their long title reign. Their title reign is surprisingly kind of long. Now, if they're going to have the New Day lose it at WrestleMania, they're probably going to lose it to the League of Nations. That's probably who they're going to be going up against at WrestleMania. Because I don't really see any other tag teams. It's not going to be the Dudley Boys, which, speaking of the Dudley Boys, they've been relatively MIA. It's been forever since they've been on Raw. It's not going to be the Usos. Same thing for them. So much for a tag team of the year, right? So the only tag team that I see, it's not AJ Styles, Chris Jericho, because that group is done. Or that tag team is done. So it's probably going to be League of Nations, most likely, which no one really wants to see. Because we're going to have to go from hearing, yo, world famous 2-time champs, to nothing from the League of Nations because they're boring and they're a joke. Lesnar and Wyatt, honestly, with this match, they should probably have Lesnar. This one's tough because I like Bray Wyatt, of course, very talented wrestler. While I'm not a huge Lesnar fan, you can't have him lose too much because then that takes away from his whole aura of being the Beast, Brock Lesnar. He's lost very few times since he came back in 2012. Once to Cena, once to Triple H, once to Undertaker. Can't have him just lose too much. Now, if he does lose to Wyatt, a lot of people would like that, really. But I just feel like you can't have him lose here. I don't know what to do. But Wyatt's been losing too much, so it's just like, see, if this match was at WrestleMania, I would definitely have Bray Wyatt win. But because it's at Roadblock, a house show special, I'm not a huge fan of Wyatt winning this one. I feel like you have to somehow legitimize Brock Lesnar as an opponent that other superstars do not want to face. That's just the way I see it. So you're probably maybe you could have, the Wyatt family interfere at the end somehow. But that's happened too often. It's happened against The Undertaker, it happened against Kane, happened against Ryback, happened against so many other people, Roman Reigns. I just feel like this is a tough one, booking-wise. You don't want to have Wyatt lose yet again, but you want to keep Brock Lesnar formidable. So, luckily I don't do this for a living, so there you go. So, in Triple H, Dean Ambrose is obviously going to have Triple H retain here. Give him at least one title defense in his reign, and you can't have him lose the championship at a non-pay-per-view event. It's a house show special, like I've mentioned about 10 times. You're not gonna have the WWE Championship lose at a house show that isn't an event. Like, just have him some like random house show like White Plains. That's not gonna happen. And so this shouldn't happen here. Triple H has to have, at least legitimize his title reign, at least a little bit, and this should do it right here. So, this is not really going to be a huge thing, but if you're just looking for a pay-per-view atmosphere, I'm pretty sure they're going to make it a pay-per-view atmosphere. But you don't want like the You just want some sort of wrestling, but pay-per-view atmosphere, but you're not like quite prepared to watch an entire pay-per-view, then I suggest you watch Roadblock. I am, because it's short. It's a Saturday night. It's on a Sunday where I have to worry about waking up at 5 in the morning to go to my 8 a.m. class. So it should all be good, really. So that's all I have based off Roadblock. Not really a whole lot of material to talk about because there's only 4 matches. So that's what we have there. And once Roadblock is over, that is when the road to WrestleMania, a relatively short one, it's going to be about 3 weeks. WrestleMania, I'll get to this, actually. That'll be my third segment and my final segment of the day. So that's all I have for Roadblock. Once that's over, like I was mentioning, that's going to lead up to the actual road to WrestleMania. That's when we'll see some of the card filling up. And that's when we'll finally get to know who we'll be seeing at WrestleMania, what match is going to be taking place, and all of... I can't really think of a word right now. I'm usually good with this. Well, that's when we'll get the full scoop. I know it's corny, but that's when we get the full scoop of what's happening at AT&T Stadium on April 3rd. So that's all for this segment, and I'll be right back to give you a little preview of WrestleMania 32.